this is the 2019 BBE maths paper, and this is question 1. We'll be doing question 1.1. So here we've got x squared plus 5x minus 6. So the trick that I usually use, I find the products of the number you see. So for 6, we know that it's 1 times 6, 1. You can also have 2 times 3, right? So I'm going to choose this one, and then you'll see plus, 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 minus, minus, plus, minus, minus, and then 1, 6, 1, 6, 1, 6, 1, 6. So this here will give you positive 7. This will give you negative 5. This will give you positive 5. And this will give you negative 7. So we will be looking forward for the B, this 5 here. And my 5 is here, so I'm going to use these numbers here, which is negative 1 plus 6. So I'll open my brackets. Then I'll have x minus 1 and x plus 6. So x minus 1 is equals to 0, or x plus 6 is equals to 0. So x will be equals to 1, or x is equals to negative 6. But if you have this fancy calculator here, you can use it to calculate the values as well. So you'll just say set up 5, and then you'll choose 3. We know that our A is what? It's 1, our B is 5, and our C is negative 6. So you'll press equals, see, equals, so you get what? X is equals to 1, which is this one here, and x is equals to negative 6, which proves that we are right. But this is baby stuff, so you shouldn't be struggling with this because this is grade 10 work. So by now in Matric, you're supposed to know how to do this. All right, now we're moving to question 1.1.2, and you're also given a quadratic equation. You have to solve for x, so you have to use the quadratic formula to solve this. So we know our quadratic formula says what? X is equals to minus b plus minus square root b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. This is equals to what? Minus, this is our a, our 4 is a, our b is 3, and our c is minus 5. So it will be minus 3 plus minus square root, b is what? 3 squared minus 4, our a is 4, our c is minus 5, divided by 2, a is 4. So this will just pop into our calculator. So that will be square, open, and then you say negative 3 plus square root, b will be 3 squared minus 4, our a is 4, our c is negative 5, over 2, our a is 4. Then solution is, so x will be equal to 0.80, or x is equals to, go back to calculator, change your plus to a negative, so equal to negative 1.55. And the question said you must leave 2 decimal places. That's why you just write it like this. That was also very easy. You just use your formula, quadratic formula, so that you won't have any problems. So that's the solution for that. Simple, just like that. All right, now moving on to the next question. We are given 1.1.3, we're given an inequality, and we have 4x squared minus 1 greater than, 0 is greater than, smaller than 0. So the trick here would be to find the critical values first. So maybe on the side, we'll just calculate your critical values. Basically finding your critical values is like solving for x. So you just say 4x squared minus 1 is equals to 0. So you change your inequality sign to an equal sign and then solve for x. So you have 4x squared is equals to 1. Bring your 1 to this side, turns to positive. Divide both sides by 4. Divide by 4. X squared will be equal to 1 over 4. So after that, you square root both sides so that x will be equal to plus minus a half. So x is equal to negative a half, or x is equal to half. So when you go back to your answer sheet, you write critical values. Values will be equal to x is equal to negative a half and x is equal to half. So these are your critical values. Now you will draw your table. Here obviously you've got sort of like your number line. Here you have negative a half and here you have your half. Here x is between a half and negative a half. Here x is greater than half. All the values this side on the right hand side of the half are bigger than x, and here all the side the numbers on your left are smaller than negative a half. So x is smaller than negative a half, right? So now when you've done that, you take your calculator, you go back to the original equation, choose a value, any value on this side of negative a half. You can choose negative 1. So I'm going to choose negative 1. So before negative 1 squared minus 1, which is equals to what? 3. This is a positive number. 3 is a positive. That's why you put plus there. Any number between negative half x and a half, I'm going to choose 0. Put my 0 in there. I get what? Negative 1. So that's a negative. And then any number this side, I can choose, let me choose 3. And I get what? 35, which is a positive number. So when I go back to my inequality here, I can see that says 0 is greater than this here, which means this is negative. 0 is greater than all negative numbers, which means this should be negative for it to be satisfied. So I get my negative where? Here. So I'm going to choose this as my solution. So the answer will be negative half square root x half, like that. Then you are done. So that's what you'll do for this question here. So you'll choose your negative and then choose this, gives you half. So that's your final solution. All right. Moving on to the next question. We've got question 1.1.4. It looks very, very tricky. I think looking at it, you might think it's difficult. But as I've been saying, that it's not that difficult. You just need to know your rules. So here with question 1.1.4, it looks very complicated. So let me just write it down for you. Square root 32 plus x, close bracket, square root 32 minus x is equals to x. So the trick of this question would be to know your rules. Square root rules, we know that if you have square root a times square root b, this will be equal to square root a times b. So basically here you have two square roots, the big one. So you're going to treat what's inside of the square root as your a and your b. So this I'll treat as my a and this I'll treat as my b, which means I'll have square root square root 32 plus x square root 32 minus x is equals to x. So what you'll do after that is that you'll square both sides to remove the square root. Then I'll be left with square root 32 plus x square root 32 minus x is equal to x squared. What I'll do after this is that I'll expand this bracket. Square root 32 times square root 32 will give me 32, and then square root 32 times negative x will give me negative square root 32x. Multiply these now will give me positive square root 32x, and then this times this will give me negative x squared, which is equals to x squared. So now obviously these are like terms, so they'll just cancel out because it's negative 32 square root x plus positive square root 32x, which will leave me with 32 minus x squared is equals to x squared. Then after that, I bring this to this side. I'll have 2x squared because your negative turns into a positive. Then divide by 2 be 16 is equals to x squared. Then you square root both sides. You'll have x is equal to plus minus 4. So that will be your solution for that one. So you'll be done here, just like that. Looks difficult, but it's very, very easy. So that will be questions for question 1.1.2, 1.1.1. Now we'll be moving to 1.1.2, which is solving simultaneous equations. Simultaneous equations as well, we've been doing this work since grade 10, so it's not that difficult. Well, it shouldn't be that difficult. So it's simultaneous equations, right? So you're given y plus x is equals to 12, and xy is equals to 40 minus 3x. So what I'll do is that I'm going to change this so that I make y the subjects of the formula. Y will be equals to 12 minus x. I'll say this is my equation 1, and then here I'm going to use this as my equation 2. So you'll have to substitute one of the formulas. So I'm going to substitute 1 into 2, which will give me x y is equals to 14 minus 3x. So I know I'll have x, my y is what? 12 minus x, which is equals to 14 minus 3x. So now I have to solve for x. Multiply in will be 12x, multiply in minus x squared is equals to 14 minus 3x. I'm going to bring everything to this side, so I'll have 0 is equals to x squared minus 3x minus 12x plus 14. Left with x squared minus 15x plus 14. This is equals to 0. So I have to solve for x now. So going back to the rule I showed you at first, what you can do is that you look for products of 14. So 14, we know we can write it as 1 times 14. We can have 7 times 2. So these are the ones that I can think of. And then if I choose this one here, I'll have plus, plus, plus minus minus plus, then minus minus minus. I've got 114, 114, 114, 114. Looking for one that will give me what? Negative 15. So here I've got 15, positive 15. Here I've got negative 13. Here I've got positive 13, and here I've got what? Negative 15. So I'm going to choose which one? This one, because I found my negative 15. So I'll open my brackets. X, negative 1, negative 14. So x is equal to 1. My x minus 1 is equal to 0, or x minus 14 is equal to 0. So x will be equal to 1, or x is equal to positive 14. So these are my x values that I've found. So since it's simultaneous equations, you don't just end with the values of x. You must also find the values of y. And I'm going to say substitute x equals to 1 and x equals to 14 into equation 1. So I've got my y is equals to 12 minus x. Y is equals to 12. So minus x will be what? 1. So I'll have y is equals to 11 for that one. And then for x is equals to 14, I say y is equals to 12 minus 14. So y will be equals to negative 2. So that's my solution. So I have my values for x and I have my values for y. So that's how you do question 1.2. All right, let me remove this and then let's go to question 1.3. So 1.3 is also a tricky question, but I'll just do it for you. And then hopefully while I'm doing it, you'll end up understanding it. So I'm just gonna write it down for you. They say consider the product. Consider the product then 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 30. And then they say determine the largest value of k such that 3 to the power of k is a factor of this product. All right. Okay, cool. To do that one, what you'll do is that here we know that this is the same as what? 30 factorial, right? So you have 1 times 2 times 3 times, and it's the same as what? 30 factorial, right? So if we break down these numbers here, your 3 and your 6 and your 9, all the products of 3 basically. You'll have 3, you have 6, you have 9, you have 12, 18, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, and 30, right? And then if you write 3, 3 is just 3. We know that 6 will be written as 2 times 3, and then 9 can be written as 3 times 3, 12 can be written as 3 times 5, 15 can be written as, 12 can be written as 12 can be 3 times 4, 3 times 5, 3 times 6, 3 times 8, and so on and so on, 3 times 9, until you get to 3 times 10 for your 30, right? So what you'll do basically now is calculate the number of 3's you get. So for example, this one here, you can break it down further and write it as what? 3 times 2 times 3. This can be broken down as 3 times 3 times 3. You get. So all the others that can't be broken down, after this you'll calculate the number of 3. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There's one missing here. Oh, I didn't write 3 times 7. You see. So basically you'll break these numbers up, and then once you're done with that, you'll find that you have what? 3 to the power 14. So this will be the largest value. Therefore largest value of k will be 14. So that's how you do it. So you break up your 3, you break up your 6, your 9, your 12, your 15. Break them up. You have to get them into products of 3, and then you count the number of 3's that you get in the whole thing, and that will be your solution. All right. Alright guys, so now we'll be doing the question 1 of the 2018 paper. So question 1.1, we have to solve for x, and we are given x squared minus 4x plus 3. So using the trick that I showed you, you'll have 3 here. So you say 3 is equals to 1 times 3. Those are the only products that give us 3. And then you have plus, 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 minus, minus, plus, and minus, minus. You have 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3. This will give us negative 4. This will give us positive 2. This will give us negative 2. This will give us positive 4. We are looking for a b, which is negative 4. So we're going to use these values here as they are. So you open your bracket, put x here, and then negative 1 minus 3 is equals to 0. So you'll have x minus 1 is equals to 0, or x minus 3 is equals to 0. So x is equals to 1, or x is equals to 3. So these are our solutions for this one. But you can also use your calculator. If you have a fancy calculator like this one, you'll say setup 5, 3, and then your a is 1, press your equal sign, b is negative 4, press your equal sign, c is positive 3, press your equal sign. So equal sign again, you see, you get that x is what? Is 3, which is correct, or x is equals to, press your equal sign again, x is equals to 1. So we just checked and we are correct. Okay, now moving on to the next question. It's also very easy. This is grade 10 work basically, so it shouldn't be difficult or challenging. It's based off easy 3 marks, just like that, just giving it to you. So 1.1.2, we have 5x squared minus 5x plus 1 is equals to 0. This here is our a, this here will be our b, and this here will be our c. So we're going to use the quadratic formula. It says x is equal to minus b plus minus square root b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. Our b will be negative. B is what? Negative 5 plus minus square root b is negative 5 squared minus 4. Our a is 5 divided by 2a is 5. So I'm gonna put this into my calculator and see what I get. Alright, so I've got okay, what's happening? I've got minus negative 5 plus square root negative 5 squared minus 4 5 c is positive 1 divided by 2 and my a is 5. Press my equal sign, I get what? X is equals to negative 1 comma, wait, I think I made a mistake somewhere here. This is supposed to be negative, so answer x will be equal to 0.72, or x will be equal to 0.276, but because they're looking for 2 decimal places, you have what? 0.28. So these are our solutions for the quadratic formula, you see. So these ones, this is also easy, no need to think a lot, you just use your formula, put everything into a formula. Formula is on the formula sheet, so there's no need to worry about that, just basically using a calculator. Next one is 1.1.3. we're given an inequality x squared minus 3x minus 10 is greater than 0. Check once again will be to find your critical values. Critical values, basically solving for x when you're given x squared minus 3x minus 10. So you change the quantity sign to an equal sign. Can easily use my calculator, or I can just factorize. So I have x, this will give me negative 5, this will give me positive 2. I can also use my calculator, setup 5, 3, and then my a is 1, equal, my b is negative 3, equal, and my c is negative 10, equals. Press equal, x is equals to 5, so I have x is equals to 5, or x is equals to negative 2. Just like that. So now that I have my critical values, come here, I say critical values. I draw my table. Critical values, you've got x is equals to negative 2 and x is equals to 5. So draw my table. Negative 2 will be here, 5 will be here. X is greater than 5 here. X is between 5 and negative 2, and x is smaller than negative 2 here. So I take my calculator, I look for a value this side, and I'm going to substitute it into my original equation. So any value this side, I can have minus 3. So I have minus 3, open bracket, squared, minus 3, minus 10. This will give me what? Positive 8, which is a positive number. A number between negative 2 and 5, let me choose 1. So put 1 here, substitute 1 into the equation. 1, I get what? A negative 12, which means what? It's negative here. Any number this side, I can choose, let me choose 6. Any number bigger than 5. So it will be 6. And give what? 8, which is a positive number as well. So from this says here this equation should be greater than 0. So if it's greater than 0, it means it's what? It's positive. Anything greater than 0 is positive. So which means that my solution will be x is greater than -2 or x is bigger than 5. So these here will be my solutions. So that's it with the inequality, with this inequality. So once you're able to find your critical values and you're able to draw the table, everything is easy. Like that, it will be easy from there. All right, cool. Moving on now to question 1.1.4. So we're given 3 root x is equals to x minus 4. So the trick here would be to try to remove the square root. So to do that, I will square both sides, and that will give me 9x, right? And then from then on, I square the other side as well, which will be x minus 4, x minus 4. I get x squared, multiply in, expand, I get negative 4x plus 16, and here what? 9x, which will be equal to x squared minus 8x plus 16, this is 9x. Then we've got 0 is equals to x squared minus 8x plus 16 minus 9x. Take this 9x and I bring it to the side. So I'll be left with x squared minus 17x plus 16. So now I have to factorize this. I can use the trick that I just showed you. Products of 16 will be what? 1 times 16. There are many of them, so let's choose this one. You can try them out, but I'm gonna choose this one. So it's plus, 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 minus, minus, plus, minus, minus, 116, 116, 116. You can also use your calculator, which makes things easy. Use positive 17, negative 15, positive 15, negative 17. So we're looking for what? Negative 17. So these are the values that we'll be using. So you open your bracket, x, negative 1, negative 16. So x minus 1 is equals to 0, or x minus 16 is equals to 0. So x is equals to 1, or x is equal to 16. So these here will be your solutions. So that one is easy as well. If you're able to remove the square root, everything else becomes easy after that. So the next one that we have to do is question 1.2. So we're done with solving for x now. Now we have to solve simultaneously for x and y. And we're given 3x minus y is equals to 2 and 2y plus 9x squared is equals to negative 1. So this will be my, first I have to write this equation and make my y the subject of the formula. So I have y, so I bring the y this side and I take the 2 that side, so it will be 3x minus 2. So this will be equation 1 and this will be equation 2. Then I'll say substitute 1 into 2. So for 2y, my equation 2 is 2y plus 9x squared is equals to negative 1. 2, my y is 3x minus 2 plus 9x squared is equal to negative 1. Gonna multiply in here, I get 6x minus 4 plus 9x squared is equal to negative 1. Then I'll have, rewriting this, I have 9x squared plus 6x minus 4, bring my 1 to this side, plus 1 is equal to 0. Then I'll be left with 9x squared plus 6x minus 3 is equal to 1. So, okay, I'm going to continue here. I have 9x squared plus 6x minus 3 is equal to 0. I take out a common factor here. There's a 3. 3. Then you're left with 3x squared plus 2x minus 1 is equal to 0. Divide both sides by 3. Have 0 this side and have 3x squared plus 2x minus 1 here. Factorize this. You can use your calculator to factorize it, or quadratic formula, or yeah, those are options. So I have to factorize this. Factorizing this gives me 3x, x, and then positive 1 here, negative 1 here. So you have 3x minus 1 equals to 0, or x plus 1 is equals to 0. So divide, okay, bring your 1 to the side first. You have 3x is equals to 1, and x is equals to negative 1. Divide both sides by 3. X is equals to 1 over 3. So these are my values for x. So once you're done with finding the values of x, you have to find the values of y. So to find my y, I have this. I'm going to substitute my x values into here. So substitute x is equal to 1 over 3 and x is equal to negative 1 into equation 1. So I have y is equal to 3, 1 over 3 minus 2. You can put this into your calculator. It will give us negative 1. And then for the next one, y is equal to 3 minus 1 minus 2, which will give us negative 5. So these here will be your solutions for x and for y. So that's it for our simultaneous equation. Alright, that was very easy, I think. It's also great. This is grade 11, not basically. It's also easy. So for a Matric student, by now you should have mastered this question, these type of simultaneous equations. Alright, now moving to question 1.3. These questions are a bit tricky sometimes, but as long as you know your rules, then everything else will be easy. So we're given that 9x is equals to 64 and 5 root p is equals to 64. Now we have to calculate. The question says calculate without a calculator the value of 3x minus 1, and then this is your power of 3 divided by square root 5 square root p. So it's not very clear in the question paper, but it's 5 square root p like that. So to do this one, basically exponential laws will be very important here. You must know your exponential laws. So here we've got, if you look at the numerator, this will be using the exponential law, a m n this will be AM times N, right? So that's the law that we'll use here for a numerator. So we will have 3x minus 1. So we're going to times the exponent divided by square root 5 square root p. Okay, cool. Moving on from that, we'll see that this will give us 3x minus 3, and your numerator stays the same, 5 square root p. Alright, so basically this is equals to 3x minus 3, and here we've got square root 5 square root p. Alright, now looking at what we've been given, we've got 9x is equals to 64. This can be written as 3 times 3x, right, is equals to 64. Okay, and then we're gonna take out the 3 exponent 3, so we'll have 3x 3 like that is equal to 64. And we know that our 64, if we cube root both sides, here we'll be left with what? 3x is equals to cube root of 64 will give us what? 4. So now we know what 3 to the power of 3x is equals to. And if we take what we've been given here, 5 square root p is equals to 64, then we square root both sides so that it becomes this square root. So we've got square root of 64 will be equal to 8, and this here is what? 5 square root p. See, so we have our denominator now. Now taking everything back into the equation, we know that the rule says when bases are the same, you add the exponents. So this is the same as having what? 3x times 3 minus 3 divided by root 5 square root p. I know this is a bit messy, but just follow. So we know that 3 to the power of 3x is what? That's 4 times 3 minus 3 divided by square root 5 to the power of root p, which is 8. So we put this into our calculator. So we have 4 times 3 to the power of what? Negative 3 divided by 8 gives us 1 over 54. And that's your solution. So the trick here will be to know your exponential laws, all of your exponential laws, and then manipulate these here, then you'll be good to go. So that's that for question 1. Alright guys, so now we're doing the 2017 question paper. This is question 1. So the first 1.1 is what? Solve for x, and then you are given this equation here. You're given this equation. So to solve for this, we use the trick that I showed you in the other videos, the previous pages. We are given a 14. We have 14, and we know we can write this as 1 times 14 or 2 times 7. Okay, looking at these, I know I can use this one here. So you'll have your plus, 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 minus, minus, plus, and minus, minus. 2, 7, 2, 7, 2, 7, 2, 7. This will give me positive 9. This will give me negative 5, and then positive 5 and negative 9. We are looking for what? Positive 9. Because of this, we have this, so we know it will be positive 9. So we'll take our positive 2 and positive 7. So here, to open our bracket, x plus 2, x plus 7 is equal to 0. So x will be equals to x plus 2 is equals to 0, or x plus 7 is equals to 0. So x is equals to negative 2, or x is equal to negative 7. So these here are your solutions. So that's what you get, and that's how you solve it. Pretty easy. Alright, now that we're done with that one, we'll go on to question 1.1.2. Question 1.1.2 will require your quadratic formula. So here, 1.1.2, you are given 4x squared plus 9x minus 3 is equals to 0. So we know that that this here is our A, and this here is our B, and this here is our C. Right, so 4 is A, positive 9 is B, and negative 3 is our C. So our quadratic formula is x is equal to negative B plus minus square root B squared minus 4AC divided by 2A. So our B is what? Is 9 plus minus square root B squared is what? Is 9 squared minus 4, and our A is 4, and then we've got C here. I mean C is 3, and then 2A is 4. So now we're going to take our calculator and punch in everything that we have there. So we'll switch it on. Then we've got minus, and then our B is 4, it's 9, plus square root B is 9 squared minus 4, our A is 4, and our C is negative 3 divided by 2, 4 divided by 2 times 4 gives us what? X is equal to 0.29, or x is equal to, go back to your calculator, you change your plus sign here to a minus, and it gives you minus 2.54. So these here are your values for x. Alright, cool. Now we'll be moving on. That's it. Easy 3-4 marks. You just punch in everything into your quadratic formula, and then you are good to go. Alright. Now moving on to question 1.1.3. Still solving for x, we are given square root x squared minus 5 is equals to 2 root x. So the trick here will be to remove the square roots. So once you know how to remove the square roots, then you're good to go. So we know that if you're given root A is equals to B, to remove the square root here, you square both sides, so that A is equal to B squared. And if, for example, you had A square root B is equals to C, and you want to get rid of the square root here, you still square both sides, square both sides. This will be A squared square root B squared is equals to C squared. So this will leave you with what? A squared B is equals to C squared. So that's what you'll do this side. Square both sides. This will be 2 squared and root x squared. This goes root x squared is 5, and then this leave what x squared minus 5 is equals to 4. 2 squared is 4, and root x is x. And now you bring your 4 to this side, you have x squared minus 4x minus 5 is equals to 0. Then what do? You factorize these two, right? So you'll have x 5 1 minus 5 plus 1. So you can do the trick that I showed you. You've got 5, you've given 1 times 5, and then you've got plus minus minus plus and minus, and then you have 1 5 1 5 1 5 1 5. This gives you 6 negative 4 positive 4 and negative 6. We're looking for a negative 4, and you get a positive 1 and negative 5. So you put your positive 1 here and negative 5 here. So x plus 1 is equals to 0, or x minus 5 is equals to 0. So x is equals to negative 1, or x is equals to 5. So these are your solutions. You see. Alright, so that will be it for question 1.1, solving for x. Now we're going to move on to question 1.2, and question 1.2 is solving simultaneous equations. So you're solving for x and y simultaneously. So what we have here is 3x minus y is equals to 4, and x squared plus 2xy minus y squared is equals to negative 2. So I'm going to write this equation in terms of y and make y the subject of the formula. So I'll say y is equals to, so I'm bringing my y this side and I'm bringing my 4 this side. So I'll have 3x minus 4. Right, so this is my equation. So I'll say this is equation 1, and this here is equation 2. So now I'll say substitute equation 1 into 2. Right, so I've got y is equals to 3x minus 4. I go to my y's here and I substitute 3x minus 4. So for that, I have, if I do that, x squared plus 2x, y is what? 3x minus 4 minus 3x minus 4 squared is equal to minus 2. So this will be x squared, 2x and multiply in will give me positive 6x squared, multiply in negative 8x minus, I'm going to expand this bracket, so I'll have 3x minus 4, 3x minus 4 is equals to negative 2. This will give me, if I multiply this way, it gives me 9x squared, multiply this way, it gives me minus 12x, multiply in minus 12x, then positive 16 is equal to negative 2. X squared plus 6x squared minus 8x is what we have a negative here. Then this bracket will become negative x squared minus 24x plus 16 is equal to negative 2. This is negative 1 x squared plus 6x squared minus 8x. Then x squared plus 6x squared minus 8x, multiply in, I've got negative 9x squared, multiply in, I've got positive 24x, multiply in, I've got what? Negative 16 is equal to negative 2. Now, I'm going to look at my like terms and add them together. So this is this x squared. So this will give me negative 2x squared. So I'll have 1x squared plus 6x minus 9x squared gives me negative 2x squared. And then I've got negative 8x and positive 24x. When I calculate that, it will give me positive 16x. Now I'll take this 2 and I bring it positive 18 here. Let's just make 24 minus 8 is 16. I was right initially. So x. And then negative x 16, you bring the negative 2 to the side, becomes positive. So it's going to be negative 16 plus 2, which gives what? Negative 14, which is equals to 0. So here I can take out what? My common negative 2. So I have negative 2, and then I'll be left with x squared minus 8x plus 7 is equals to 0. So basically now I have this here. You can erase this here, then continue on this side. So yeah, I'll divide both sides by negative 2. Divide by negative 2, then I'll be left with x squared minus 8x plus 7 is equals to 0. I'll factorize this. So I have x, negative 7, negative 1. So okay, you can use this, factorize this using the trick I showed you, or you can use your calculator to check your solution. So x minus 1 is equals to 0, or x minus 7 is equals to 0. So x is equals to 1, or x is equals to 7. So here, these are your solutions. That easy. Alright, cool. Now that you have found your x, you have to find your values of y. So I'll take my equation 1 and substitute my x value. So y is equal to 3, 1 minus 4, which gives me what? Negative 1. And then when I substitute my y is equal to 3, 7 minus 4, this will give me 3 times 7 minus 4 is 17. So this is my other solution. So this is what I'll get here. These are my solutions for my x and my y. Alright, cool. That was for 6 months. It was pretty long, so yeah, it's understandable. So now moving on to 1.3. I don't think you'll have troubles with this. Just practice, practice, practice. That's how you master maths, and that's how you actually get things correct. These concepts are actually easy as long as you understand what they want and you just keep practicing, then you'll be able to do everything. Alright, cool. Now moving on to 1.3, we are given fx is equal to x squared plus 8x plus 16. And then they say solve for x if fx is greater than 0. So we are given this. So the trick here, when you see this, obviously it's an inequality, so which means you have to solve this as an inequality. So fx is what? Oh no, our fx is, it's x squared plus 8x, right? So you have x squared plus 8x plus 16 is greater than 0. Okay, now this is an inequality. The first thing that you do is what? Find your critical values. And you do that by what? Solving for x. You have x squared plus 8x plus 16 is equals to 0. If I factorize this, I'll get x positive 4, this is equals to 0, and then x plus 4 is equals to 0, which means x is equal to negative 4. So you have one critical value. So now you'll draw your table, and then minus 4 is here, x is greater than minus 4, and then x is smaller than negative 4. Now what you'll do is that you'll take any value this side and any value this side and substitute it into your calculator. So I'm going to choose a value, okay, for this one here, for this side I'm going to choose, let me choose 5. So substitute 5 into my original equation. So 5 squared plus 8, 5 plus 16 gives me 81, which is a positive number. And then I substitute another value this side. I can choose negative, let me choose negative 8 or negative 5. So negative 5 gives me 1, which is a positive number, which means the values on both sides are positive. This says this should be greater than 0, right? So greater than 0 means that it's positive. All positive numbers are greater than 0. So we have a positive, which means both of these apply. So your solution will be x is an element of real numbers because both of these apply. So all your numbers, whether negative or positive, when you substitute them in here, they will give you a value that's bigger than 0. So that will be the trick with 1.3.1. Right, cool. So this was just an inequality. Just remember, whenever you see something like this, you just substitute whatever you're given or whichever function you're given here, and then you solve. All right, cool. Now moving on to question 1.3.2. 1.3.2, the trick will be to know the nature of roots. So if you know the rules for nature of roots, then you'll be good with this one. So 1.3.2, we are given, they say, for which values of p will fx equals to p have two unequal negative roots. So that if you look at the equation, fx was given as is equals to x squared plus 8x plus 16, right? They say that this is equals to p. First things first, you say x squared plus 8x plus 16 minus p is equals to 0, which means here you've got a 1, here I've got 8, and here I've got 16 minus p. This will be a, this will be b, and this will be your c, right? So for this to have roots, right, roots that are real and unequal, this is what must follow. B squared minus 4ac must be greater than 0, right? So our b is what? 8x. So we have what? 8 squared minus 4. Your a is 1 and your c is 16 minus p, and this is greater than 0. Now you'll solve. So we've got 8 squared minus 4, 16 minus p is greater than 0. 8 squared is 64 minus, you multiply this in, it gives you negative 64. and then positive 4p is greater than 0. So this and this will cancel out. Then you divide by 4, divide by 4, p will be greater than 0. So that's your first answer for p. And then for the roots to be for your roots to be both negative, the condition will be, okay, let me just change this. Roots are negative. Roots are both negative. Then your condition will be this is greater than b. Right. So that's your condition. If roots are both negative, then this condition holds. So b will be what? 8 squared minus 4. Your a is 1. Your c is 16 minus p is greater than b, and our b is what? 16. Our b is 8. Right. So when I solve this, square root, I get 64 minus 64 plus 4p is greater than 8. This will cancel out, which means I have 4p greater than 8. I'll square both sides. Okay, I'm going to continue here. Then I'll have 4p is greater than 8 squared is what? 64. Right? And then divide by 4. Divide by 4, so p will be greater than 64 divided by 4 will give us what? 16. So this is our solution. So the final answer, your solution will be therefore p is greater than 0 and p like that. And another way to write this is this here. So this is our final answer. So this is how you would tackle this question. So basically, if you know the nature of roots and the conditions, then you are good. All right, cool. All right, guys, hi again. Now this is the 2016 paper, question 1. Okay, question 1.1, we are given this here. This says solve for x. It's for 2 marks. Okay, this is already factorized. So we know that this is equals to 0. So you say x is equals to 0, or x minus 7 is equals to 0. And then here we'll have x is equals to, you bring your 7 to the side, x is equals to 7. So this one was just simple, baby, easy 2 marks. Alright, baby stuff. Alright, cool. And then now, moving on to 1.1.2, we are given x squared minus 6x plus 2 is equals to 0. Obviously, you cannot factorize this simply just like that, so you will use your quadratic formula. Quadratic formula is x is equals to negative b plus minus square root b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. So I know that here I have a 1, so this one will be my a, this will be my b, and this will be my c. So negative, my b will be negative 6 plus minus square root, my b will what? Be negative 6 squared minus 4, a is what? 1, and then c is positive 2 divided by 2, and my a is 1. So factorizing this gives me, solving this in a calculator, you have negative 6 plus square root negative 6 squared minus 4, my a is 1, c is 2 divided by 2, and my a is 1. Equal, this gives me what? X is equals to 5,645 But now, because they said you must leave 2 decimal places, it will be 5,65, right? Or, so go to my calculator and change my positive sign to a negative. This gives me what? X is equals to 0,35. So this is my other solution. So this is basically putting everything into your calculator and you get what you want. 3 marks, just easy. Put everything to your calculator. Know your formula. It's also on the formula sheet. Just know how to use it. So that will be that. Alright, cool. Moving on to question 1.1.3. Question 1.1.3, you've got square root x minus 1 plus 1 is equals to x. Once again, you have to know how to get rid of the square root. Like I showed you in the previous video, if you have square root a number here is equals to b. To get rid of the square root, you square both sides. So you will have a is equals to b squared. So here, in order to get rid of this, we have to take this positive one to this side first. So we will have what? X minus 1. And this would have square root x minus 1 is equal to x minus 1. Then now what will I do? I'll square this side to get rid of the square root. And then here I'll be left with x minus 1. And here I'll have what? X minus 1 squared. If I expand this side, I'll get x squared minus 2x plus 1 is equals to x minus 1. I'm going to bring everything to this side. So I'll have x squared minus 2x plus 1 minus x plus 1. Then this will give me x squared. This minus 2x minus x will give me minus 3x plus 2 is equals to 0. Now I can factorize this. So factorize, and I'll have x plus 2. Okay, it's minus 2 minus 1 is equals to 0. Basically, you can also use the trick that I showed you. We have a 2 here. 2 is written as 1 times 2. We have plus, minus, plus, minus, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. We're looking for what? We're looking for negative 3. This will give us positive 3, negative 1, positive 1, and negative 3 here. So we're gonna pick this one, right? So we'll take negative 2 and negative 1. So that's your negative 2 and negative 1 here. So you'll say x minus 1 is equals to 0, or x minus 2 is equals to 0. So x is equals to 1, or x is equals to 2. So that will be the solution for this question here. So if you get it, so the trick is what? Knowing how to get rid of the square root, and then everything else becomes easy after that. Alright, cool. Now moving on to question 1.1.4. Okay, still solving for x. Looks very tricky, but if you know your exponential laws, then you'll be okay. That's easy. Math is easy, guys. Just know math is easy. You just have to know your formulas. Once you know your formulas and are able to apply them, then you'll be a star. Distinction coming your way, I can see it. Alright, cool. So 1.1.4, you've got 3x plus 3 minus 3x plus 2 is equals to 486. Alright, cool. Exponential laws. We know that am plus n is equals to an times am, right? Alright, cool. So since we have this, what we can do now is apply this formula on this here. So we'll have 3x times 3 to the power of 3 minus 3x times 3 to the power of 2 is equal to 486. So do you see that we have a common factor here? Common factor here. So we'll have 3x, take our common factor out, you're left with 3 to the power of 3 minus 3 to the power of 2 is equal to 486. 3 to the power of 3 minus 3 squared, so 3 minus 3, 2 gives us 18. So we have 3x times 18 is equal to 486. So now I'm going to divide both sides by 18. Divide both sides by 18. Right. So 486 divided by 18 gives me 27. And here I've got 3x. 27 can be written as 3 to the power of 3. Right. 3 to the power of 3 is 27. And here we have 3x. Which means that this and this are equal because the bases are the same. So you have what? X is equals to 3. Alright, cool. That was a bit easy. Just applying exponential laws, factorizing, and then you're good to go. Alright, cool. Moving on now. So yeah, there's your answer. X is equals to 3. So now moving on, we are going to do question 1.2. So we are done now with question 1.1. Everything in question 1.1 has been done. We're going to do question 1.2. So we are given we're given 1.2. We are given fx is equals to x squared plus 3x minus 4. And then 1.2.1 says solve for x if fx is equals to 0. Right. So this is pretty easy. They're saying find x. We have fx. Fx is this. So you just take whatever you have and you put it here and then you solve. So you'll have x squared plus 3x minus 4 is equals to 0. And then what you do after that, you factorize this. So you can use the trick that I showed you. 4 can be written as 1 times 4, and it can be written as 2 times 2. What are we going to looking for? We're looking for 3, so we're going to use this one here. So we have plus, 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 minus, minus, plus, and then minus, minus. We put 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4. This is equals to positive 5, negative 3, positive 3, and negative 5. What are we looking for? Positive 3. So it's this one here, which means you're going to take this value and this value here. So you open your bracket, x, you put this value here, negative 1, and x, put this value here, positive 4. So x minus 1 is equals to 0. Or x plus 4 is equals to 0. Bring your 1 this side, x is equals to 1, or x is equals to negative 4. You see, so that would be it, just like that. So here, whenever, whether it's an equality sign, whatever will be here, just put whatever you have here, and then you solve for what they're looking for. Alright, cool. That is just 2 marks. Very easy. Alright, cool. Moving on to question 1.2.2. Question 1.2.2 says solve for x if fx smaller than 0. So basically this will be what? An inequality. So you'll have x squared plus 3x minus 4 is greater than 0. So obviously you have to factorize this. We factorized in the other, find your critical values basically. So critical values, you have x squared plus 3x minus 4 is equals to 0. You factorize this, we did it in just now, first question, so it'll be x minus 4, plus 4 minus 1, so x will be equal to 1, or x will be equal to negative 4. So when you've done that, found your critical values, you draw your table. So here you have negative 4 and here you have 1. X is between 1 and negative 4, and here x is bigger than 1. Here on this side we've got x is smaller than negative 4. Right, cool. Now we go to our calculator, look for any value this side, and we substitute it into our equation here, right, into our equation. So I'm going to pick, let's pick negative 5. So we have negative 5 squared plus 3, negative 5 minus 4. This is what? It's a positive number, positive 6, right? And then any number between negative 4 and 1, I can now pick 0, 0, and then 0 here. This gives me what? A negative number. And then I'm going to pick another number this side that's bigger than 1. I'll pick 6. 6 gives me what? Positive number, positive 50. Alright, cool. And this says what? 0 is bigger than this. So 0 is bigger than this, which means that this must be what? Negative. Because 0 is bigger than all the negative numbers. So, which means we've got my negative here, which means my solution is going to be this here. So my solution will be minus 4. X is between minus 4 and 1. So this here will be your solution. That will be your answer. And that basically is your answer, and easy 2 marks once again. Alright, cool. Now moving on to 1.2.3. Basically here you have to write as well. Don't forget, write your critical values. You just say critical values is equals to x is equals to 1 and x is equals to negative 4. So you'll just have to write down your critical values as well. Okay, cool. 1.2.3 says solve for x. Solve for x when you have this here greater than 0. So obviously we know that this means what? Find the derivative. So derivative of x squared plus 3x minus 4 will be 2x plus 3, right? So this will be the derivative. Okay, cool. Once you have your derivative, you put it in here and you solve for your x. So you have 2x plus 3 is greater or equals to 0, right? Bring your 3 this side, 2x greater or equal to 3. Divide both sides by what? By 2, divide by 2. So x is greater or equal to 3 over 2. So this inequality is what? Is our grade, this will be negative. When you bring this to the side, it becomes negative. This is the same as grade 10 work basically. When you first learning about inequalities, this is a basic inequality. There's not much that you need to do to it. Alright, cool. That was question 1.2.3. Now we are going to do question 1.3. Question 1.3 is an inequality. Inequalities are easy. Just know what you're doing. Make one of the variables the subject of the formula, substitute them, and then solve for your x and solve for your y. So you're given x, this is 1.3, x is equals to 2y and x squared minus 5xy is equal to negative 24. Right. So here x is already the subject of the formula. So I'm going to say this is my equation 1. This is my equation 2. I'm going to say substitute equation 1 into 2, right? So what will that give me? So I've got x is what? I've got x squared here, and my x squared is, let me just write it down again, x squared minus 5xy minus 24 is equals to minus 24. So x squared is what? 2y. X is 2y. So I change my x to 2y squared. Minus 5. My x is what? 2y. Y is equals to negative 24. This will give me 4y squared minus 5. And then I'm going to multiply in here. 2y squared is equals to negative 24. Then I'm going to multiply in here to give me negative 10. Y squared is equal to negative 24. This is 4y squared. So these are what are like terms here. So since I've got like terms, 4y squared minus 10y squared will be equal to negative 6y squared is equal to negative 24. Divide both sides by negative 6, divide by negative 6. Y squared is equal to negative 24 divided by 6 is what? Negative 24 will give us 4. So y, square root both sides, y will be equal to plus or minus 2. So that's my solution there for my y. Now to find your solution for your x, I'm going to substitute my y is equal to 2 and y into negative 2 is equal to negative 2 into my equation 1, and then that will be x is equal to 2, so x is equal to 4, and x is equal to 2, negative 2, so x is equal to negative 4. So I have my solutions for my x, solutions for my y. So that will be it for question 1 of the 2016 paper.